sofa is fabulously comfortable, but the cover's looking really shabby. Now, obviously, recovering's a possibility, but for a three-seater, you're looking at a starting price of around $800. Well, I've got a cheaper suggestion: ReDyeing. Dyeing can work on virtually any loose-fit fabric, from sofa and cushion covers to blankets, curtains and towels, but some are better suited than others, and there are always risks involved. Natural materials like wool and cotton usually work reasonably well. Synthetics are a bit unpredictable. This corduroy cover turned out beautifully, but then it was in good condition to start with, and that's a big help. ReDye Works in Sydney is one of the few dye outlets in the country which take on small household items like our sofa covers. It's run by a small team of women using half a dozen original dye vats, but it still pumps out large quantities of work. And a mail order business means people in the country can use the service.
Most jobs are priced by weight. At ReDye Works, it's $88 for 3 kilos. Our cotton covers weigh nearly 8 kilos. It is a good idea to weigh your item before you send it off so you'll know roughly how much it'll cost. Also, try to attach a sample of the colour you want, either in the form of a swatch or a colour chart.
Almost any colour can be achieved by mixing the dye powders. It's a bit like making a cake, and in fact dye factories are known as dye kitchens, and dye mixers are called recipes.
After the dye is prepared, the item goes into one of these dye vats where it gets washed before boiling away for between 2 and 6 hours, depending on the material, its weight and the desired colour.
It has to be kept moving about or the dye won't take. It's interesting to note that the dyes used in redyeing are the same as initial fabric dyes, so they actually penetrate the material itself rather than just sticking to the outside.
There are some things you should know. Listen to the warnings of the dye outlets because most take no responsibility for damaged goods. Dyeing involves high temperatures which can knock some items around and make others shrink. Chemical residues left on the fabric like body oils, Scotchgard or spray cleaners can make colour distribution patchy. The darker the colour, the longer it takes. Also, dyeing from very dark to very light isn't recommended. And a combination of fabrics in a given item can make the job more difficult.
When the item finally comes out of the machine, it's air-dried to minimise shrinkage. Items aren't ironed, but in the case of covers, you can put them back on slightly damp, which sometimes helps iron out the creases and re-stretch the materials. What a difference a few days make. These look almost as good as new, and the price came in at $220. In this case, the risk well and truly paid off.